Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a heated argument, feeling the tension rise, your pulse quicken, and your emotions start to spiral out of control? Maybe it was a disagreement with a coworker, a clash with a family member, or even a confrontation with a stranger. These moments can leave us feeling drained, frustrated, and unsure of how to respond without losing our composure. It's in these exact situations that the ancient wisdom of Stoicism offers us a lifeline. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This simple yet profound idea is at the heart of what we'll explore today: how to handle toxic situations with grace, clarity, and unshakable calm. Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about understanding what's within your control and what isn't, and choosing to respond rather than react. In this video, we'll dive into 20 actionable Stoic principles designed to help you navigate life's most challenging moments without losing your inner peace. Whether you're dealing with a difficult person, a stressful environment, or an unexpected conflict, these timeless strategies will empower you to stay grounded and in control. So, if you're ready to transform how you handle toxicity in your life, let's begin this journey together. Stoicism offers a powerful tool for maintaining calm in the face of chaos: cognitive detachment. At its core, this principle teaches us to separate external events from our internal reactions. Think about it. While we can't control what others say or do, we always have the power to choose how we respond. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply: "Some things are within our control and some things are not. What others do falls into that second category, but our thoughts, emotions, and actions, those are firmly within our grasp." This is the essence of cognitive detachment. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you're dealing with a toxic coworker who constantly undermines your efforts. Their behavior is frustrating, even infuriating, but here's the Stoic perspective: you can't change them. What you can change is how you let their actions affect you. Instead of reacting impulsively or letting their negativity dictate your mood, you can choose to detach emotionally. This doesn't mean ignoring the situation or pretending it doesn't bother you. It means recognizing that their behavior is their problem, not yours, and refusing to let it hijack your peace of mind. By practicing cognitive detachment, you create a mental buffer between yourself and the chaos around you. This buffer allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally, turning what could have been a heated argument into a calm, collected moment. So, here's a question to reflect on. How often do you let others' actions dictate your emotions? The answer might reveal just how much power you've been handing over to external circumstances, power that, according to Stoicism, is yours to reclaim. What if you could stop worrying about things beyond your control? This is the heart of the Stoic dichotomy of control, a concept that has guided countless individuals through turbulent times. The ancient Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." What he meant is simple yet profound. Much of our stress and anxiety comes from fixating on things we cannot change rather than focusing on what we can. The dichotomy of control teaches us to divide life into two categories: what is within our power and what is not. When we direct our energy toward what we can influence, our thoughts, actions, and reactions, we reclaim a sense of calm and agency, even in the face of chaos. Let's take a real-world example: navigating a toxic family dynamic. Imagine you're at a family gathering and a relative makes a hurtful comment. You can't control their words or behavior, but you can control how you respond. Do you react with anger, perpetuating the cycle of negativity? Or do you pause, remind yourself of your values, and respond with dignity? By shifting your focus to your own actions, you not only protect your peace but also model the kind of behavior that can inspire change. It's not about ignoring the problem, it's about choosing where to place your energy. To put this into practice, try journaling about the aspects of a challenging situation you can control. Write down your thoughts, your reactions, and the steps you can take to improve the situation, even if only incrementally. This simple exercise helps you ground yourself in what's actionable, rather than being swept away by what's not. So, here's a question for you. What's one thing you can control in your current challenge? Take a moment to reflect on that. By focusing on what's within your power, you'll find that even in the most toxic situations, you can maintain your calm and move forward with purpose. Let's take a moment to reflect on Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic philosophers. Even as a Roman emperor leading his troops through the chaos of war, he faced relentless adversity, battles, betrayals, and the weight of an empire resting on his shoulders. Yet, through it all, he maintained his composure, writing in his personal journal, Meditations, about the importance of controlling his emotions rather than letting them control him. This is emotional resilience in its purest Stoic form, the ability to endure hardship without losing your calm, to face challenges head-on without being overwhelmed by fear or frustration. In Stoicism, emotional resilience isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging the difficulty while refusing to let it dictate your inner peace. Seneca, another giant of Stoic philosophy, once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." In other words, trials aren't just obstacles, they're opportunities. They're the forge where resilience is shaped, where you discover just how much strength you're capable of. Now, think about how this applies to modern life. Let's say you're dealing with online negativity, maybe a harsh comment on a post you worked hard on or a wave of criticism from strangers. It's easy to feel attacked, to let frustration or self-doubt take over. But what if instead you saw this as a chance to practice emotional resilience? What if you reframed that negativity as an opportunity to strengthen your ability to stay calm under pressure? Instead of reacting impulsively, you could pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself that the opinions of others don't define your worth. This shift in perspective doesn't just help you navigate the moment, it builds your capacity to handle future challenges with even greater ease. So, how can you apply this to your own life? Take a step back and ask yourself, how can I view my current struggle as a chance to build resilience? Maybe it's a difficult conversation at work, a personal setback, or even just a stressful day. Whatever it is, try to see it as a training ground for your emotional strength. When you approach challenges with this mindset, you don't just survive them, you grow through them. And that's the essence of Stoic resilience, not avoiding hardship, but using it to become unshakable. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. In the heat of the moment, when emotions are running high, silence can be a shield, a way to protect your peace and avoid unnecessary conflict. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." Think about that for a moment. When you react to a provocation, you're giving someone else control over your emotions. But silence keeps that power firmly in your hands. Imagine this: someone throws a toxic comment your way, perhaps a snide remark or a harsh critique. Your instinct might be to fire back, to defend yourself or put them in their place. But what if instead you chose to say nothing? Silence doesn't mean you're weak or that you're conceding. It means you're choosing not to engage in a battle that isn't worth fighting. It's a declaration that you won't let someone else's negativity disturb your inner calm. Negativity disturb your inner calm. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time silence helped you avoid a toxic situation? Maybe it was during an argument where you realized nothing productive would come from continuing. Or perhaps it was when you chose not to respond to a rude comment online, recognizing that engaging would only escalate the tension. Silence has a way of diffusing anger, of stopping a toxic situation in its tracks. It's not about avoiding conflict, it's about refusing to let conflict consume you. The Stoics believed that our reactions are within our control, even if the actions of others are not. Silence is one of the most potent tools we have to exercise that control. It's a way to step back, to breathe, and to remind yourself that not every provocation deserves your energy. So the next time you're faced with a toxic situation, consider the power of saying nothing. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is the one you don't say at all. What if every challenge you faced was actually a chance to grow? This is the heart of the Stoic concept known as amor fati, loving your fate. It's not about pretending that hardship doesn't hurt or that toxic situations are easy to navigate. Instead, it's about shifting your perspective to see adversity as a teacher, a guide, and even an ally in your personal development. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most famous practitioners, wrote extensively about this idea. He reminded himself to embrace whatever life threw at him, not as a burden, but as an opportunity to practice virtue, strengthen his character, and deepen his understanding of the world. Imagine this: you're stuck in a toxic work environment. Maybe it's a boss who constantly criticizes or a coworker who thrives on drama. It's easy to feel drained, frustrated, or even helpless. But what if, instead of focusing on the negativity, you saw this as a chance to practice patience, self-discipline, and emotional resilience? Every snide comment or unfair demand could become a moment to exercise self-control, to respond with calm rather than anger, and to protect your inner peace. This is how adversity becomes a classroom. It's not about enduring suffering for its own sake. It's about using the struggle to grow stronger, wiser, and more composed. One practical way to embrace this mindset is through journaling. Take a few minutes at the end of each day to reflect on the challenges you faced. Ask yourself, what did this situation teach me? How did I respond, and how could I respond better next time? Writing these thoughts down helps you see patterns, track your progress, and even find gratitude in the lessons learned. It's a way to actively engage with adversity rather than passively endure it. So, here's a question to ponder: how can you reframe your current challenge as an opportunity? Whether it's a difficult relationship, a stressful job, or a personal setback, there's always something to gain if you're willing to look for it. What might this situation be trying to teach you? And how can you use it to become the best version of yourself? One of the most powerful tools Stoicism offers for handling toxic situations starts before the day even begins. Imagine waking up and taking just a few moments to center yourself, to ground your thoughts, and to prepare mentally for whatever challenges might come your way. This is the essence of a morning reflection routine, a practice deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy and famously exemplified by Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations. He would begin his day by writing down his intentions, reminding himself of the virtues he wanted to embody, and preparing his mind for the obstacles he might face. As he once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil." This isn't about expecting the worst, it's about being ready for anything. A morning reflection routine helps you set your intentions, build mental clarity, and approach the day with calm and purpose. Here's how you can start. First, set aside 5 to 10 minutes each morning. No need to make it complicated. Find a quiet space, grab a notebook, and write down 1 or 2 challenges you anticipate for the day. Maybe it's a difficult conversation, a looming deadline, or even a situation that's been draining your energy. Next, ask yourself, how can I approach this with calmness and wisdom? What virtues like patience, courage, or empathy can I bring to this situation? Finally, take a moment to visualize yourself handling these challenges with composure, reminding yourself that you have the power to choose your response no matter what happens. This simple practice doesn't just prepare you for toxic situations, it shifts your mindset from reactive to proactive. Instead of being caught off guard, you're mentally equipped to navigate challenges with clarity and resilience. So here's a question for you. What's one thing you can reflect on tomorrow morning to prepare for the day ahead? It could be as small as a conversation you've been avoiding or as big as a project that's been weighing on you. The key is to start, because when you take time to reflect, you're not just preparing for the day, you're building a foundation for long-term calm and strength. Empathy doesn't mean taking on others' toxicity. This is a crucial distinction in Stoic philosophy, one that allows us to connect deeply with others while safeguarding our own emotional well-being. Think of empathy as a bridge. It helps you understand where someone is coming from, but you don't have to cross over and live in their chaos. The Stoics believed in compassion, but they also emphasized the importance of maintaining clear boundaries. As Seneca once wrote, "We should give without hesitation, but not to the point of self-sacrifice." In other words, you can care without carrying the weight of someone else's negativity. Let's say you have a friend who constantly complains or vents about their problems. It's natural to want to support them, but if you're not careful, their negativity can start to seep into your own mindset. Here's where Stoic wisdom comes in. Instead of absorbing their frustration or anger, try to understand their perspective without letting it dictate your emotions. Listen actively, offer kindness, and acknowledge their feelings, but don't let their turmoil become yours. It's like holding up a mirror to their emotions. You reflect them without letting them stick to you. So, how can you show empathy without compromising your own peace? Start by setting mental boundaries. Remind yourself that their emotions are theirs to manage, not yours to fix. You can be present and supportive without taking responsibility for their happiness. Another approach is to practice what the Stoics called prosauche, or mindfulness. Stay aware of your own emotional state as you engage with others. If you notice yourself starting to feel drained or overwhelmed, it's okay to step back and recharge. Empathy is powerful, but it's most effective when it comes from a place of strength and balance, not self-sacrifice. Imagine for a moment that you're standing on a mountaintop, looking down at the world below. The cars on the highway look like tiny toys, the buildings seem like miniature models, and the people, well, they're so small you can barely make them out. This is the essence of the Stoic practice known as the view from above. A powerful mental exercise that helps us gain perspective when we're caught in the chaos of toxic situations. It's about stepping back, way back, and seeing things as they truly are, not as they feel in the heat of the moment. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, often turned to this practice to remind himself of life's fleeting nature. In his writings, he reflected on how insignificant our daily struggles are when viewed from the vastness of the cosmos. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." It's a reminder that most of the conflicts we face, whether it's a heated argument, a betrayal, or even a workplace dispute, are temporary and small in the grand scheme of things. They may feel overwhelming now, but zoom out and they lose their power. Let's bring this into a modern context. Picture this: you're in the middle of a tense meeting at work. A colleague criticizes your idea and it feels personal. Emotions rise and you're tempted to react defensively. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused and imagined the scene from above? From that vantage point, the room is just a speck in a vast office building, which itself is a tiny dot in a sprawling city. The criticism, the tension, it's all just a brief moment in time, one that will soon pass. When you see it this way, the sting lessens and you're better able to respond calmly and rationally. So, next time you find yourself in a toxic situation, ask yourself, how would this look if I viewed it from above? How much of this conflict will matter a week, a month, or a year from now? By adopting this cosmic perspective, you're not denying the reality of your emotions or the situation. You're simply choosing not to let them consume you. It's a way of reclaiming your peace one step back at a time. What if you knew this toxic situation wouldn't last forever? The Stoics believed that everything in life is temporary, both the good and the bad. This is the idea of impermanence, a core teaching that can help us navigate even the most challenging moments. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Remember that you are an actor in a play, and the playwright chooses the duration of your scene." In other words, life is constantly changing, and no situation, no matter how difficult, lasts forever. Think about a storm. No matter how fierce the winds or how heavy the rain, it eventually passes. The same is true for toxic situations. Whether it's a stressful workplace, a tense relationship, or a period of inner turmoil, it won't define your life forever. By focusing on this truth, you can begin to detach from the intensity of the moment. It's not about dismissing your feelings or pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that this too shall pass. Here's a practical way to apply this. When you find yourself overwhelmed, take a moment to pause and remind yourself of impermanence. You might even try a simple mindfulness exercise. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and visualize the situation as if it were a scene in a movie. Notice how it feels to step back and observe it from a distance. This shift in perspective can help you regain a sense of calm and control. So, how can remembering impermanence help you stay calm today? When you're faced with a toxic situation, ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, or a year? Often the answer is no. By holding onto the truth that even the toughest moments are fleeting, you can approach life with greater resilience and peace. This isn't just philosophy, it's a tool for living well, even when the world feels chaotic. Gratitude can be your anchor in toxic storms. It's a powerful tool that Stoicism encourages us to wield, especially when life feels overwhelming or unfair. Think about it, even in the midst of chaos, there's always something to appreciate, something that can ground us and remind us of what truly matters. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often wrote about this in his letters. He believed that challenges aren't just obstacles, they're opportunities to grow, to learn, and to cultivate resilience. By focusing on what we can be grateful for, even in the hardest moments, we shift our perspective from victimhood to empowerment. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine you're in a toxic relationship, whether it's with a partner, a coworker, or even a family member. It's easy to feel trapped, frustrated, or even hopeless. But what if you looked at it differently? What if, instead of focusing on the negativity, you found gratitude for the lessons it's teaching you? Maybe it's helping you set stronger boundaries, or perhaps it's showing you what you won't tolerate in the future. These are valuable takeaways, and they're only possible because of the challenge itself. Here's a simple way to bring this into your daily life. Start a gratitude practice. Each day, take a moment to write down one thing you're grateful for, no matter how small. It could be the warmth of the sun on your face, a kind word from a friend, or even the strength you've shown in facing a tough situation. Over time, this habit trains your mind to seek out the good, even when the bad feels louder. It's not about ignoring the pain, it's about balancing it with perspective. So let me ask you this, what's one thing you can be grateful for in your current situation? It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing. Sometimes the smallest moments of gratitude can make the biggest difference. By anchoring yourself in appreciation, you'll find that even the most toxic storms become easier to weather. Are your boundaries strong enough to protect your peace? This is a question worth asking, especially when navigating toxic situations. In Stoic philosophy, setting clear boundaries isn't just about protecting your time or energy. It's about safeguarding your inner calm and emotional well-being. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, emphasized the importance of self-preservation. He taught that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond and, more importantly, what we allow into our lives. Boundaries, in this sense, are not walls to keep people out. They are tools to preserve your tranquility. Take, for example, a modern scenario. Imagine you have a family member who constantly criticizes or drains you emotionally. Without clear boundaries, their negativity can seep into your daily life, leaving you feeling drained and frustrated. But by setting limits, like deciding how often you'll engage with them or choosing not to entertain their toxic behavior, you reclaim your peace. It's not about cutting them off entirely. It's about creating space where you can thrive without being weighed down by their negativity. Boundaries also serve as a reminder to yourself about what you will and won't tolerate. They're a form of self-respect, a way of saying, this is where I draw the line. And here's the key: boundaries aren't selfish, they're necessary. Think of them as the guardrails on a winding road. They keep you on track even when the path gets rough. So, where do you need to set stronger boundaries in your life? Is it with a coworker who constantly oversteps, a friend who drains your energy with their complaints? Or even within yourself to protect your time and focus? Reflect on this, because the clearer your boundaries, the more you'll find yourself stepping into a space of calm and control, no matter what chaos swirls around you. The present moment is where your power lies. This simple yet profound truth is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, and it's a tool you can use to navigate even the most toxic situations without losing your calm. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, understood that the past is already gone and the future is uncertain. What we truly have is the here and now. In his Meditations, Marcus wrote, "Confine yourself to the present," reminding us that dwelling on what's out of our control only steals our peace. When you focus on the present, you reclaim your ability to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Let's say you're in the middle of a heated argument with someone who's trying to provoke you. Their words might sting, their tone might feel aggressive, but here's the key: you don't have to let their energy dictate yours. By practicing mindful presence, you can step back mentally, even in the heat of the moment, and focus on what's happening right now. Are you breathing? Are your feet on the ground? What's actually within your control? These small anchors can help you stay grounded. One effective technique is deep breathing, inhaling slowly for a count of 4, holding for 4, and exhaling for 4. This simple act brings you back to the present and interrupts the cycle of emotional escalation. Mindfulness isn't about ignoring the situation or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about observing it without letting it consume you. When you're present, you're better able to assess the situation objectively, choose your words carefully, and act with intention rather than emotion. So, the next time you find yourself in a tense or toxic moment, ask yourself, how can I bring more presence to this situation? How can I use this moment to practice calm and clarity, even when everything around me feels chaotic? The more you practice this, the more you'll realize that the present moment isn't just where your power lies, it's where your peace begins. What if you stopped judging others and focused entirely on yourself? This simple shift in perspective is at the heart of a powerful Stoic teaching, one that can profoundly change how you handle toxic situations. The Stoics believed that judging others is not only unnecessary but also a source of inner turmoil. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it plainly: what upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about those things. When you judge someone else's behavior, you're essentially handing over your peace of mind to them. But what if you could take that power back? Think about it. When you encounter someone toxic, say, a boss who micromanages or a colleague who constantly complains, your instinct might be to label them as difficult or unfair. But here's the thing, that judgment doesn't change their behavior. It only amplifies your frustration. Instead, Stoicism teaches us to suspend judgment and focus on what's within our control, our own actions, reactions, and attitudes. By withholding judgment, you create space to respond calmly and intentionally, rather than reacting out of anger or resentment. Let's take the example of that toxic boss. Instead of judging them as unreasonable or controlling, consider this. Maybe they're under immense pressure or struggling with their own insecurities. This isn't about excusing their behavior, but about understanding that their actions are a reflection of their inner world, not yours. When you stop judging, you free yourself from the emotional weight of their toxicity. You can still address the situation, but you do so from a place of clarity and self-control, not frustration. So, how often do you find yourself judging others? And more importantly, how does it affect your peace? The next time you're tempted to label someone as difficult or unfair, pause and ask yourself, is this judgment serving me, or is it just adding to my stress? By focusing on your own actions and reactions, you reclaim your power and cultivate a sense of calm, even in the face of toxicity. After all, as the Stoics remind us, the only thing you truly control is yourself. Imagine being exiled to a remote island, stripped of everything familiar and forced to live in isolation. That's exactly what happened to Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers. But instead of letting despair consume him, he saw his exile as a chance to deepen his wisdom and strengthen his character. In his letters, he wrote about how adversity, far from being a curse, is actually a teacher, one that reveals our true potential and refines our inner resilience. This Stoic perspective teaches us that challenges aren't just obstacles, they're opportunities. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, echoed this idea in his meditations, reminding himself that every hardship is a chance to grow stronger. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the very thing that seems to block your path can become the foundation for your progress. Let's bring this into the modern world. Think about a toxic work environment where negativity and conflict seem to dominate. It's easy to feel drained, frustrated, or even defeated. But what if you shifted your perspective? What if, instead of seeing it as a burden, you viewed it as a test of your resilience? Every moment of tension, every difficult interaction, becomes a chance to practice patience, clarity, and emotional control. By doing so, you're not just surviving the adversity, you're building the kind of inner strength that can't be shaken. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you use your current challenges, no matter how big or small, as an opportunity to grow? Whether it's a strained relationship, a demanding project, or even a personal setback, each difficulty holds the potential to shape you into a stronger, more grounded version of yourself. The Stoics believed that adversity doesn't break us, it reveals us. What will it reveal about you? Sometimes discomfort is the key to calm. It might sound counterintuitive, but the Stoics believed that deliberately seeking out small hardships could prepare us for life's bigger challenges. This practice, known as voluntary discomfort, is rooted in the teachings of Epictetus, who encouraged his students to embrace minor struggles as a way to strengthen their resilience and inner peace. By willingly stepping into discomfort, we train ourselves to remain steady when faced with adversity, whether it's a toxic situation or an unexpected crisis. Take, for example, a moment when you're stuck in a conversation with someone who's being difficult or dismissive. Instead of reacting impulsively or trying to escape the discomfort, you might choose to stay present and practice patience. This small act of enduring the tension can help you build the emotional muscle needed to handle more significant challenges down the road. It's not about seeking out pain for its own sake, but about using discomfort as a tool to grow stronger and more composed. So, how can you start incorporating voluntary discomfort into your daily life? It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be as simple as waking up a little earlier than usual, taking a cold shower, or delaying gratification when you crave something. These small acts of self-discipline remind us that we have control over our reactions, even when external circumstances feel chaotic. Over time, this practice helps us cultivate a sense of calm that isn't easily shaken. What small discomfort can you embrace today to build your resilience? Whether it's choosing to stay calm in a heated moment or pushing yourself to tackle a task you've been avoiding, each step you take strengthens your ability to navigate life's storms with grace. The Stoics knew that true calm isn't the absence of challenges, it's the ability to face them with unwavering composure, and sometimes that starts with a little discomfort. What if you focused on being virtuous rather than winning? Stoicism teaches us that true success isn't measured by external outcomes like wealth, status, or even winning an argument, but by the quality of our character. The ancient Stoics believed that virtue, things like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, was the highest good. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote extensively about this. In his letters, he often reminded his readers that external results are fleeting and often outside our control, but our integrity and moral choices are entirely within our power. When we shift our focus from outcomes to virtue, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine you're in a tense negotiation at work, and the other person is using manipulative tactics to pressure you. The easy path might be to fight fire with fire, to lie, exaggerate, or play dirty to win. But the Stoic approach would be to stay grounded in your principles. What if, instead of focusing on winning the negotiation, you focused on acting with honesty, fairness, and respect? Even if the outcome isn't what you hoped for, you can walk away knowing you maintained your integrity. And here's the surprising thing. When you prioritize virtue, you often find that the stress of the situation diminishes. Why? Because you're no longer tying your self-worth to the result. You're anchored in something deeper, your values. So how can you apply this in your own life? The next time you're faced with a challenging situation, ask yourself, what would it look like to focus on virtue over outcomes? How can you act with integrity even when others aren't? Remember, the Stoics believed that the only true failure is failing to live up to your principles. Everything else is just noise. By making virtue your priority, you not only handle toxic situations with more calm and clarity, but you also build a life that's aligned with what truly matters. Let's talk about how preparing for the worst can actually help you stay calm. This might sound counterintuitive, but the Stoics had a powerful tool for this called negative visualization. Think of it as a mental rehearsal for life's toughest challenges. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the importance of imagining worst-case scenarios. Why? Because by confronting these fears in your mind, you strip them of their power to shock or overwhelm you in real life. It's not about dwelling on the negative, it's about building resilience and mental readiness. For example, imagine you're about to face a toxic confrontation with someone. Instead of avoiding the thought of it, take a moment to visualize how the conversation might unfold. What's the worst that could happen? Maybe they say something hurtful or the situation escalates. By picturing these possibilities, you're not just bracing yourself, you're also preparing how you'll respond calmly and rationally. When the moment arrives, you're less likely to be caught off guard because you've already walked through it in your mind. It's like having a mental game plan. The beauty of negative visualization is that it doesn't just reduce fear and anxiety, it also helps you appreciate what you have. By imagining the loss of something valuable, like a relationship or a job, you're reminded of its importance and can approach it with greater gratitude and care. It's a practice that keeps you grounded, even in the face of chaos. So, here's a question for you. What's one situation in your life where negative visualization could help you stay calm? Whether it's a tough conversation, a high-stakes meeting, or even a personal challenge, take a moment to imagine the worst-case scenario. Then, picture yourself handling it with composure and strength. How might that change your approach? Are you as kind to yourself as you are to others? It's a question worth asking, especially when navigating toxic situations. Stoicism often emphasizes self-discipline and control, but it's equally important to balance that with self-compassion. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us that even as we strive for virtue and strength, we must also treat ourselves with care. He wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Yet, that strictness doesn't mean harshness. It means holding yourself accountable while also recognizing your humanity. Think about a time when you made a mistake in a difficult situation. Maybe you reacted impulsively or said something you regretted. It's easy to spiral into self-criticism, but Stoicism teaches us to pause and reflect. Instead of berating yourself, consider what you'd say to a friend in the same position. You'd likely offer understanding, encouragement, and perhaps a gentle reminder to learn from the experience. Why not extend that same kindness to yourself? Practicing self-compassion isn't about excusing poor behavior. It's about acknowledging your imperfections without letting them define you. Start by forgiving yourself for past mistakes. Recognize that growth often comes from failure, not perfection. Then, take small steps to show yourself compassion daily. Maybe it's setting aside time to reflect on your progress, or simply giving yourself permission to rest when you're overwhelmed. Ask yourself, how can you show yourself more compassion today? Perhaps it's by letting go of unrealistic expectations or by celebrating the small victories that often go unnoticed. When you treat yourself with the same care you'd show a loved one, you build resilience and inner strength qualities that help you stay calm and grounded, even in the face of toxicity. Every toxic situation holds a lesson. This is the Stoic view, a belief that even the most difficult moments carry within them the seeds of wisdom. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that our struggles are not random punishments but opportunities to grow, to learn, and to become wiser. He said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." In other words, wisdom comes from enduring and reflecting on life's challenges, not from avoiding them. Think about a toxic friendship. It's easy to walk away feeling hurt, betrayed, or angry. But what if, instead of dwelling on the negativity, you pause to ask yourself what this experience taught you? Maybe it revealed a pattern in your relationships, or perhaps it showed you where your boundaries need to be stronger. Even the most painful interactions can teach us something valuable about ourselves and the world around us. The key is to shift your focus from the harm caused to the lessons gained. Stoicism encourages us to approach every situation, especially the toxic ones, as a classroom. When you face a difficult person or a challenging circumstance, ask yourself, what can I learn here? How can this make me stronger, more resilient, or more compassionate? By seeking wisdom in every experience, you transform what could have been a source of frustration into a tool for growth. So, take a moment to reflect on your current challenges. What wisdom can you take from them? What lessons are hidden beneath the surface of your struggles? When you start to see every situation as a teacher, you'll find that even the most toxic moments can become stepping stones toward a wiser, more grounded version of yourself. What are you holding onto that you can't control? It's a simple question, but one that cuts to the core of so much of our stress and frustration. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, often reminded us that there are things within our power and things that are not. And the sooner we learn to distinguish between the two, the more peace we'll find. In his Meditations, he wrote, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. It's a powerful reminder that we can't control what others say, do, or think, but we can control how we respond. Think about it. When we cling to things outside our control, whether it's someone else's behavior, a past mistake, or even the weather, we're essentially giving away our power. For example, holding on to resentment toward a toxic person might feel justified, but it only keeps you trapped in negativity. The Stoic approach: acknowledge the situation, accept that it's beyond your control, and focus instead on what you can do, like setting boundaries or choosing how much energy you invest in that relationship. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings or pretending everything is fine. It's about shifting your focus from what you can't change to what you can. Practices like meditation can be incredibly helpful here. By sitting quietly and observing your thoughts without judgment, you begin to see which ones are worth holding onto and which ones are better released. It's a way of training your mind to let go of what doesn't serve you. So let's bring this back to you. What's one thing you're holding onto that's weighing you down? Is it a grudge, a regret, or maybe even an unrealistic expectation? Take a moment to reflect on it and then ask yourself, what would it feel like to let it go? To free yourself from that burden and focus on what truly matters. The Stoics believed that this kind of acceptance isn't just a philosophy, it's a path to freedom. And it's a practice we can all start today. As we wrap up this exploration of Stoic wisdom, let's take a moment to revisit the 20 principles we've covered, each one a tool to help you navigate toxic situations with calm and clarity. From the power of detachment to the strength of resilience, these timeless practices remind us that our greatest power lies not in controlling the world around us, but in mastering our responses to it. By focusing on presence, self-discipline, and perspective, we can rise above chaos and reclaim our inner peace, no matter what challenges come our way. Think of these principles as a toolkit for life. When you face conflict, remember the value of stepping back and observing without judgment. When emotions threaten to overwhelm you, lean into the Stoic practice of pausing, reflecting, and choosing your response with intention. And when the world feels unpredictable, anchor yourself in the present moment, because that's where your power truly lies. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're practical strategies for living with purpose and strength. As Seneca once said, the mind that is untroubled and tranquil has the power to move into its own domain, wherever it may be. This is the essence of Stoicism, the ability to find serenity within yourself, regardless of external circumstances. It's a reminder that your calm isn't something others can take from you. It's a choice you make moment by moment. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these principles resonates most with your life? How do you see yourself applying them in moments of stress or conflict? Take a moment to reflect, and if you feel inspired, share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's build a community of support and wisdom together. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more insights on Stoicism and personal growth. Together, we can continue this journey toward a calmer, more resilient way of living. Thank you for watching, and remember, the power to stay calm is always within you.